Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Oklahoma Partners in Policymaking. I'm going to go ahead and let our speakers start, and I'll keep an eye on the chat just in case there's any questions, and we can either wait till the end, or if you guys have a stop point, I can ask those questions for you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Do you feel comfortable sharing your screen for the presentation today?
Yes, I will go ahead and share. Hi, everybody. My name is Millie, and once I have these slides up on the screen, perfect. Yes, Milena, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and start off our presentation.
Absolutely. Yes. And thank you so much for sharing your screen, and happy Friday Eve, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Milena Hasmanis, and I serve as the Executive Director for Beyond the Spectrum. And I am joined with Millie, who will introduce herself as well.
Yes, my name is Millie Cha. I work at the Oklahoma State University Honors College. I do K through 12 outreach, which is a lot of educational extension work. This presentation today is all about universal design for learning. On this next slide, we have our objectives for today's session. So we'll begin by an introduction to what UDL is, an overview of universal design for learning and the benefits of it for accessibility. Then we'll move into device demonstrations. I'll explain some assistive technology, some low tech, and even some phone apps that can be helpful in the classroom. And we'll end with an action plan template and further resources for you. So moving back to Milena with our introduction for what universal design for learning is all about.
Absolutely. Highlighting some of the initial core principles of universal design for learning, it really is the platform in which we're able to promote accessibility and inclusivity for diverse learners, especially in online education. The advantage to the online education platform is that there are so many tools and various programs that allow for this to happen naturally and for differentiation to occur in a way that is very engagement forward due to this being a priority in recent developments. A couple core principles behind UDL would be multiple means of representation. There are quite a few ways in which we can get from point A to point B, and tools in allowing for each of us to engage with the content in the most meaningful way and in the least restrictive way as well. So allowing for us to really lean into that learning experience. UDL also focuses on differentiating action and expression, so allowing how and which learners can engage with the content and present their understanding of this, whether that be through writing, oral expression. Sometimes that may be through using eye tracking tools to promote written expression via that way. It could be also artistic expression to promote that understanding. And I think that also allows for there to be increased higher levels of critical thinking happening as well, because we're pushing that space. And so that also allows for educators to increase rigor too. So it's advantageous in a lot of different ways. And then following with engagement. So there really are focuses around how can we promote the most engaged opportunities for learners to feel in which they are understanding this content. And that's really what UDL is anchored around, is how can we ensure that we're not missing opportunities for every single learner to feel that they are fully understanding and diving deeper into the content, as well as ensuring that we're providing equitable learning opportunities. It's ensuring that we have a multitude of pathways to really anchor in that understanding, and that no scholars are falling in those cracks because of the different tools allowing us from getting from point A to point B and achieving those learning objectives.
Thank you, Milena. And then moving on into our next section about demonstrating some of these assistive technology that can help implement universal design in your classroom. There are so many different capacities in which, just like Melina mentioned, we can integrate technology and different tools to make sure all of the scholars in the classroom are equally and equitably engaged, and ensuring that they can engage fully with the material that you are presenting as well. And so, just 4 areas that might come up in a common classroom for note-taking skills and to aid certain students in bettering those note-taking skills. There are lots of apps for iPads and iPhones, apps specifically Otter, Dragon Anywhere, and Speech Notes are recording apps that will translate from a voice recording into written text in real time. And so you could imagine how that would be a very helpful tool for somebody during a long lecture. Moving on to some writing tools, audiobooks. There are eye tracking devices that have become only more and more helpful. Recently, for math skills, introducing physical objects into the classroom can make math and some of these abstract concepts more tactile sometimes. And then for assessments, creating more room for scholars to test in environments that are specifically curated for them. So whether that includes regular breaks, a setting that is completely private or has some sort of monitoring involved. And also at the bottom of this slide, I wanted to mention that we have a much longer list of different areas of the classroom and different technology that could assist you in making that part of your class more universally engaging for all students. And so this comes out of a program that Melina and I recently graduated from called Partners in Policymaking. And it was a space where we learned a lot about how UDL and other accommodations can really improve accessibility in the classroom. So let's move into some specific examples for note-taking. There's the app that I have pictured on the left, the iPad, and color coordination for notes, the Speech Notes app. These are all things that can help people with their note-taking skills in various classrooms. For writing, I actually have an article linked over on the left. So the benefits of ear reading and audiobooks for students of differing abilities from Edutopia is a great read, but then also some more tactile tools like the ball pen pictured above on the right and the C pen below that. I also wanted to highlight that Makers Making Change is one of the few online spaces out there that have freely accessible 3D printable files that can make these different technology assistive devices for you. And 3D printing is becoming more and more accessible through university campuses if you have one local to you. For math skills, the Monarch device is another one that is kind of a new invention coming into the field. And then counting with objects can include the little pin device pictured above, but also for math, a main recommendation out there is that creating real-life applications for the concepts talked about in the classrooms is helpful for students of differing abilities. Finally, different environments for testing and assessments. ReadSpeaker is another device that can help read assessments out loud. And the Pomodoro method is a way to integrate breaks that I have pictured there. But we'll move on to our next section with Melina once again.
Awesome. Thank you. In just a moment, we're going to be shifting gears to a Jamboard where you're going to be applying these skills. But before we do that, if we can go to the slide right before just for a moment, we're going to be looking at the Jamboard through a couple of different lenses. So you learned about some fantastic examples, categories in which we can see UDL applied practically, right? So it's a low lift, it's accessible, it's things that we may be already doing, but just didn't realize it. Or apps that are out there that now we're aware of that are free to download to enhance the learning experience. And again, get us grounded in really solid engagement so that the learning experiences are meaningful for our learners. But for us to do that, there are a couple guidelines with UDL before we apply it to a couple of case studies or scenarios. The first one would be principle one, which is providing multiple means of representation. So what we were talking about at the beginning, right? The what of learning. Learners differ in the ways that they perceive and comprehend information that is presented to them. So in order to provide it, in a written format, in a visual format, maybe there's an audio format to help with that. So in a second, when we're looking at these case studies, there's a subsection where you're thinking about how you can differentiate in representation. There's going to be another bucket or subsection where you're thinking about multiple means of expression. So the how they're able to produce or express what they know. So again, whether that's through orally providing it, writing it, creatively writing this. So this is another bucket that you'll kind of build out. And then finally providing multiple means of engagement, the why of learning. So learners differ markedly in the ways in which they can be engaged to be motivated to learn. So this is another component that you're going to be thinking about. So looking at the Jamboard slide on the next slide here, I'll be dropping a link in the chat. There's going to be 3 different case studies. And what's really neat, Mila, are you able to click on that link to have it open in a new slide? Okay,
Absolutely.
awesome. And then as she's doing that, I will go ahead and also put the Jamboard in the chat for you all. Feel free to go ahead and click this freely, but just in case for folks who may not have used Jamboard before, just a quick overview. Each of the case scenarios are at the bottom of the slide. So there are 3. The fourth one is kind of like a parking lot for general questions. If maybe you feel stuck or anything that's not pertinent here, you're more than welcome to put that there. If you don't feel comfortable putting it in the chat and maybe you want it to be anonymous because these are marked as anonymous too. But each of these have 3 different scenarios, and then those 3 buckets that we were talking about under those 3 principles of UDL. So representation, expression, and engagement. And then there's Post-it notes for other points of consideration, maybe additional clarifying questions or other areas that you may have. For you to complete one of your thoughts, Mila, are you able to click on one of the sticky notes, please? Awesome. So all you have to do is just click on it and you're able to type right away, right into that sticky note. And so this allows for you to give your thoughts. You can put your name at the bottom if you'd like, or if you'd rather stay anonymous, totally fine. And then you're able to go through and copy these as well. And so if I see that a couple of the pages are running low, I'll go through and provide you with a couple more virtual sticky notes. But let's go ahead and as looking through these case scenarios, we'll give y'all about 6 minutes. So we'll come back at 11:19. No, excuse me, let's make it a little easier. 11:20. We'll come back and give y'all a chance to engage with this, add some thoughts, and then we'll kind of share out what we were able to gather. And then we'll share out afterwards. So at 11:20, we'll regroup, but this is the time to kind of engage with these case studies, and then we'll wrap up from there. So any questions about that at this time? Okay, well, I will keep a lookout for the time and give some time checks in between, but we'll regroup at 11:20 and share out from there. Okay, time check. We have about 3 more minutes to be wrapping up. You can look at just one of them. You can bounce between all 3, completely up to you, but we'll regroup in about 3 minutes, or excuse me, 2 minutes now. Nice work, and let's keep it up. All right, final minute to wrap up your thoughts. And if you did not have a chance to put it on a virtual sticky note, this is a great time to share it out as well. All righty, we'll kind of take it slide by slide or Jamboard by Jamboard. So starting with the first slide, the case study was your history professor at a university revamping your online history courses to ensure they are accessible to visually impaired students. You recognize the importance of implementing UDL principles to create an inclusive learning environment for all students. So when thinking through examples of multiple means of representation, some examples that we got were, I know a color-coded map is bad for colorblind students, not sure of another representation alternative though, okay? And then allow for final projects to be in various formats, paper, video, podcasts, etc. Okay, nice. Those are some really great ones to think through. Some other things also could be offering tactile items to be shipped out possibly, or models of historical artifacts can provide hands-on learning experiences in other ways. So those are also great things. Examples of multiple means of action and expression. So we have use UJO Panorama to check accessibility in your course. Did the person who put that, do you want to unmute and elaborate further, or does anyone want to add some more context around that? That's an awesome suggestion, but just would love to give some space for that.
So I think that, you know, when you check your accessibility in your course, it depends on, you know, what you have, I guess the level of support that you have, because sometimes there is literally a fix button that it goes to those particular objects, and it walks you through fixing them step by step, whatever accessibility errors, I guess it has, whether it be PDF items, whether it be color, you know, color on color items. It can be a whole host of issues, whether you need to add captions to images, you know, all kinds of things. It gives you suggestions to make
That's awesome.
things, you know, accessible to learners.
Yeah.
The tool in your LMS, I guess is what I should say.
Yeah, I love that. What an awesome tool for us to put in our tool belt. So thank you for bringing that up and putting that on there for folks to learn about further. So I appreciate that. Some other areas of consideration too. So examples of strategies and resources to help with engagement to incorporate celebrations after large projects or assessments. And then other points of consideration. So regularly review and update course materials and accessibility practices based on feedback and input from visually impaired students, ensuring continuous improvement. So, okay, so getting lived experience to drive feedback. That's a great one too, for sure. Any other points or anything before we go to the next one? Okay. The next case study was you're an English literature instructor at a community college tasked with enhancing your online literature courses to better support English language learners. You understand the importance of integrating UDL principles to create an inclusive learning experience for English language learners with diverse language backgrounds and proficiency levels. So some things that y'all posted were we could help with presentation with allowing students to share an infographic or photo to communicate. Nice. Utilize accessibility tools such as Panorama so that the students would have the flexibility of how they see, read, or hear our content. Love that. Such an awesome tool. Great suggestion. Allow students to present certain projects in written or video format. Yes. And even share about from their home country. I love that. That's a great one just to make sure to have that representation. Offer culturally relevant literature and texts that resonate with diverse backgrounds and experiences, fostering connections. Yes, absolutely. Encourage the use of tutor.com, which has bilingual resources. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And then wrapping it up, you're a music instructor at a college, or instructor, excuse me, at a college tasked with developing an online music appreciation course, et cetera, et cetera. So some things that y'all shared were ensuring all visuals have alternative text that can be read by an immersed screen reader. Yes. Include transcripts and captions for all audio and video content to support students with hearing impairments. Awesome recommendation. And then create projects and assessments that can have various ways for students to express their learning. This could be audio or video recording, visual presentation, papers, etc. And provide opportunities for collaborative learning and peer interaction through discussion forums, group projects, or virtual study groups to foster a sense of community. So I think those are all fantastic suggestions and thoughts, and I really appreciated the thoughtfulness behind everyone. I know that wasn't a ton of time, so thank you for building that out with us today. And the next slide is just unpacking a couple scale pieces, but to wrap it up fully, you know, and then again, for this, it's just some things to anchor down in, but shifting to the next slide, as we wrap up today, we wanted to just anchor us in some misconceptions and things before, you know, not one size fits all, but alternatives for everyone are what UDL is all about. And it's not added on later, but designed from the beginning to ensure that we are prioritizing equity and inclusive learning practices. And so when y'all were mentioning those awesome apps to look at your course beforehand, it should be on that checklist to make sure that you are set up for success. And so with that, that is why we created an action plan. This is a free resource for you all to access afterwards in this template that is hyperlinked. It is set up for you to be in a view only setting so you can make a copy, and allowing you to build out the resources that are needed to set you up for success. And when thinking through what that may look like for you. And so I'm going to copy the link and put it in the chat. There are a couple of action step areas where it's looking at understanding your learner needs if you have them ahead of time, especially if you have accommodations that are received ahead of time, or any 504 plans that may be received so that you are having that, or if not, you know, getting that at the beginning of the course, exploring UDL principles, identifying barriers. Oh, thank you. Selecting solutions. So this is just going through some things to think through as you're building out your course development checklist, right? We always make sure our syllabus is on there, our office hours, all the other pieces, but this is just as important to have an action plan and to lead with intentionality. And there are just some things that maybe you didn't typically think of having a timeline behind that. When we set that timeline, we're putting intentionality behind this and prioritizing it just as much as inputting our grades on time, just as much as differentiating our content and making sure that we're using relevant resources, right? This is something that we should be setting throughout continuously. And so that was just something we wanted to put in your tool belt as well, as you are crafting intentional and engaging learning experiences. And then Neely, did you want to share the screen with our information as we wrap up for today too?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Here we are.
Great. And so as we wrap up with our final 2 minutes, right, we wanted to really maximize our time together. And so we hope that y'all find the resources helpful and the things that we've included, a way just, again, to expand how you're really crafting the learning journey for your learners. And so this is our contact information. If you ever wish to reach out or want to collaborate or want to follow up on any additional questions, like it was shared at the beginning, we are recent graduates of Partners in Policymaking and would love to collaborate on anything further or here to answer any questions as well. So any final thoughts as well, Millie, that I may have forgotten at this time?
Just thank you all for being at this session. I'm so excited to see what the rest of this conference goes like, and it's been so interesting so far. So
Yes.
I'm more excited for Friday.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Are there any questions at this time as we have our final minute together? Okay. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. If there are no questions.
You guys, I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks.